to see what the thing was, looking like, how it felt. And I was just astonished at the amount of rumpy-pumpy that is in it.
There's nudity and sex every 5 minutes. It's great.
It was all doggy fashion.
Game of Thrones brought us unforgettable moments, many of which were drenched in raw intensity, passion, and yes, controversy. While the world became captivated by the epic battles, political intrigue, and jaw-dropping plot twists, there was another side to the show that often drew attention: its unapologetic portrayal of nudity and intimacy. As viewers, we romanticize those moments, seeing them as part of the fantasy. But have you ever stopped to wonder what it was like for the actors behind those scenes? How did they navigate the delicate balance between portraying these raw moments and maintaining their personal boundaries? Stick around to find out just how challenging, sometimes uncomfortable, but ultimately transformative those experiences were. One actor who didn't hold back in speaking her truth was Gemma Whelan, who played the fierce warrior Yara Greyjoy. Whelan didn't mince words when describing her sex scenes, calling them a panicked mess. In an interview with The Guardian, she openly spoke about how these intimate moments were far from scripted choreography. Instead, it was a scene where action was called, and the actors had to dive right in. For Whelan, who had to endure a deeply uncomfortable encounter with her own brother on screen, the process was intense. What stood out was the care and respect shown between the actors. Before filming, there was a quiet understanding that boundaries needed to be established, especially in moments like a brothel scene where she had to be highly exposed. The actors took time to discuss where cameras would be and what actions were acceptable, always checking in with one another. A particular director once asked her to incorporate some nipple biting and spanking into the scene, but Whelan always made sure to discuss it with her co-actor before moving forward. She credited intimacy coordinators for making these scenes safer and more manageable. It was a step in the right direction, she believed, for a production that had often left actors to navigate the complexity of intimacy on their own. Then there was the dynamic between Rose Leslie and Kit Harington, whose real-life chemistry made filming their on-screen love scenes feel more like a heartfelt experience than a daunting task. Both actors had to film intimate moments early on in the series, but with Leslie being Harington's now wife, their rapport was notably stronger. For Leslie, the whole experience was enjoyable, filmed on a closed set where she felt protected. She recalled how Harington, always the gentleman, was extremely considerate of her comfort, making sure she knew exactly where he'd be positioned. The tenderness and trust between them were evident, and it was clear that they respected one another as both co-stars and individuals. After finishing scenes, Harington would turn around, giving Leslie the space she needed to dress up in private, preserving her comfort during an otherwise vulnerable moment. Maisie Williams, who had portrayed Arya Stark from the very first season, was another actor who found herself suddenly thrust into the world of intimate scenes. Arya, a character who grew up in front of our eyes, had remained seemingly asexual throughout the series. So when Williams, who started at the age of 12, filmed her first sex scene at the age of 22 in the final season, it felt uncomfortable for both her and the audience. Williams admitted to Entertainment Weekly that she initially thought it was a prank. After all, Arya had never given us any reason to think she'd have romantic encounters. The awkwardness was palpable. The showrunners attempted to make the experience as comfortable as possible, but this only made it more uncomfortable as everyone around her seemed unsure of how to behave. Her co-actor, Joe Dempsey, who played Gendry, felt similarly uneasy. Dempsey had watched Williams grow up, and as they filmed their intimate scene, he admitted to feeling strange. For years, fans of the show had been asking about a possible romance between their characters, but Dempsey never felt right answering those questions. It became even more awkward when it was time to film, but ultimately they both navigated it with professionalism. Dempsey, who had known Williams for so long, didn't want to patronize her, but still felt an underlying discomfort. Emilia Clarke, who portrayed Daenerys Targaryen, had an even more challenging time with her intimate scenes. Clarke, one of the most outspoken about her experience, has talked at length about how her on-screen relationship with Khal Drogo, played by Jason Momoa, was difficult to film. She recalled the first season's sex scenes with a sense of discomfort, especially since her brother was a cameraman on the show, but she found solace in Momoa, who supported her through these trying moments. The actor's approachability and kindness made all the difference for Clarke, who admitted to feeling vulnerable but grateful for Momoa's understanding. For Clarke, it was more than just the nudity. It was the emotional weight that came with filming such intense moments. She felt fortunate that Momoa was there to support her, because the whole process could have been far more daunting. While many of the actors struggled with the physical and emotional demands of these intimate moments, there was one actress who felt comfortable from the start: Esme Bianco. Playing the prostitute Rose, Bianco shared in a 2019 interview that she had no regrets about filming her sex scenes. For her, it was a professional experience in which she was treated with dignity and respect. However, she admitted that she wasn't fully aware of how mentally exhausting the scenes were at the time, especially since she was already battling her own demons. Bianco's honesty shed light on the mental toll that these scenes can take on actors, especially those who may be carrying emotional baggage from their own lives. Another actor who admitted to feeling deeply uncomfortable was Juan Rayan, who portrayed Ramsay Bolton. One of the most controversial and disturbing moments in Game of Thrones came when Ramsay assaulted Sansa Stark. Rayan described filming that scene as the worst day of his career. Nobody on set wanted to be there, he confessed, but it was important for the story. Despite the dark and disturbing nature of the scene, the directors made sure it wasn't glorified or sensationalized. Sean Bean, who played Ned Stark, weighed in on the use of intimacy coordinators in film. He argued that these coordinators might be restrictive, arguing that they overemphasize the technical aspects of intimate scenes, stripping them of their naturalism. His comments sparked some controversy, as many actors disagreed with his stance, believing that intimacy coordinators help to create a safer environment for actors who may otherwise feel vulnerable. Finally, Matt Smith, a star of House of the Dragon, echoed the sentiment that there may have been too much sex in Game of Thrones. Smith, in an interview with Rolling Stone, expressed concern that the show may have overindulged in intimate scenes, possibly compromising the integrity of the storytelling. This led to the showrunners of the prequel, House of the Dragon, assuring fans that the series would feature far fewer sex scenes, promising a more measured approach to intimacy. As we reflect on the lives of the actors who helped bring these unforgettable moments to life, we gain insight into the complexity of the production process, one that demanded not only physical bravery, but emotional strength as well. It's easy to assume that nudity and intimacy on screen are merely part of the spectacle, but for the actors involved, each moment required careful consideration, respect, and, above all, a commitment to their craft. What do you think? Should Game of Thrones have toned down its portrayal of intimacy, or was it integral to the story? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes revelations.